Not knowing who's at the door is a first world problem right up there with forgetting your Wi-Fi password. But I think I might have a solution, and it's made possible by the fact that the Raspberry Pi 5 is now compatible with Google's Coral AI Dual Edge TPU, making for one of the coolest new Raspberry Pi 5 projects I've come across. Now, you may have seen Frigate home surveillance setups before, but you haven't seen one quite like this. I know because the manufacturer of the hardware couldn't even tell me whether it would work or not. I actually had to install it, write some custom code, and then confirm back to him that it did in fact work. Welcome to tech in 2024. Anyways, what better way to showcase its potential than by building our own jailbroken DIY security camera? Featuring a touch of classic Florida engineering. You know the kind, illegal in normal states, and where 60% of the time, it works every time. Equipped with all the features of the Amazon Ring, such as live streaming, motion detection, and person recognition, but without the annoying subscription fees and privacy concerns. Then we'll put our setup to the ultimate test by ordering some Chick-fil-A to see if our setup can actually deliver. The tech, that is, although now I'm really craving some waffle fries. Let's dive in. Now, Coral AI hardware is a small suite of chips built by a leading cloud computing provider designed to facilitate local AI. These chips are engineered to do only two things: look cool and run machine learning models. Keep in mind, a $25 Edge TPU will outperform a $2,000 CPU. And I've used these for years now for all kinds of tasks ranging from real-time object detection to automatic license plate recognition. And in addition to being performant, they're hyper efficient with a 4-watt power draw, as well as a reasonably low cost. Fast, efficient, and cheap is basically the trifecta of tech gadget requirements. But the evolution of Coral engineering culminates with this chip right here, the DUAL PCIE Edge Accelerator. This chip packs not one, but two Coral TPUs into a single M.2 slot, making it their most powerful local AI chip available. And you're gonna see more of this guy now that specialized board manufacturers like Pineboards is producing hats to encourage their usage. These chips are incredibly versatile. While we're demonstrating their power through a DIY security camera, the possibilities don't stop there. We could easily have built a nanny cam or even a homemade version of a Furbo dog camera. Google themselves harnessed the potential of this chip in their enterprise conferencing hardware, showcasing its capabilities in a high-demand professional environment. However, getting the USB or single PCIe accelerator functioning is pretty straightforward, but once you scale up to the dual TPU, that's where things get interesting, and getting it working on a Raspberry Pi 5 does take some finessing. So stick with me and I'll guide you through that maze. The primary things to note are you will need an M.2 slot that supports the dual Edge TPU. You'll also need a motherboard that can support the bifurcation needed to get this thing to work, as well as a PCIe expansion board for the Raspberry Pi. Now, I was able to get it to work on the Zima Blade and the Zima board, but I'm gonna use the Raspberry Pi 5 for this example. So let's start with the Edge TPU itself. So the dual TPU has an E-key form factor, and the keying is just denoted by the notches in the chip here. For comparison, this is the single Edge TPU, which features an A+ E key, and you can see how it differs. So first, we need an M.2 slot to put this guy into. Now again, if you have a single PCIe TPU, you can get away with throwing it into a wireless card or even a specialized hat like this from Pineberry. Generally speaking, if it fits, it sits. But when it comes to the dual TPU, we need a specialized slot that is able to handle that extra TPU. And this guy over here has you covered with a suite of different adapters. To connect these two, we bring the chip in at a 30-degree angle, then fasten it down with a spacer. But now that leaves us with a chip with a standard PCIe X1 slot. And as you can see, when it comes to the Raspberry Pi 5, that is no bueno. And so our journey continues. Now, if we were using the Zima board or the Zima Blade, we could just plug this in right here and move on with our lives. But being the low-key masochist that I am, I couldn't let things lie. So if we want to get this thing working with a Raspberry Pi 5, we're going to need a special expansion board with a standard PCIe slot. And it turns out there are feasible candidates. I bought this board here from Geekworm, which will make use of the PCIe FFC ribbon and mount underneath the Raspberry Pi and ultimately give us our much needed standard PCIe slot. And this guy set me back $28. We'll also want a 12-volt barrel DCU power supply for this new board. Setting this up is a matter of connecting the ribbon, wrapping the board over, and then screwing in some standoffs. Now we can insert the dual TPU adapter into the expansion board, and voila, we have a mount that should work. And real quick guys, this video was underway before Pineboards.io released their Dual Edge TPU hat, but in retrospect, I would probably go that route because you only need a single piece of hardware that's going to run you around $39 USD. And also they added some firmware support that with their hat, you don't need to mess around with the device tree. So there's quite a few benefits of going that route. But either way, it's the same outcome. You're going to get the dual TPU working for applications like Frigate. And so you can still use this tutorial to figure out how to get that setup going. Next stop, let's get the software going on this. So it turns out the Pi needs some love to get it working with the mini PCIe device, and we'll also need to install the Coral driver and some additional packages. So I'm starting out with the latest RPi OS software on a micro SD, and from there I have a script you can execute to get all the firmware installed. If you want to manually install your drivers, then just inspect my script and you can see what it's doing. Okay, so I just wanted to validate that the device is now on my network. So I came over to my router Wi-Fi configuration settings, and then I came to the connected client list. And if I peruse this list, I now see the Raspberry Pi host name as well as the IP address, which we can use to connect to it. Okay, so I'm going to go over to Warp and SSH into my new device. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. It's going to ask us to establish a fingerprint on the first connection. Okay, so we're connected over SSH. The next step is getting the device to be able to see the two TPUs. Okay, so if you go to the description of this video, I will provide a link for the gist. This guy right here, Coral AI PCIe Edge TPU on Raspberry Pi 5. So we're gonna do curl-s uppercase S URL pipe bash. And what it's gonna do is it's just gonna download that script and execute it. Let's give that a shot. That looks like it stopped somewhat abruptly. Yeah, and the last command is to reboot, and it did not reboot. I'm not 100% sure what happened right there. Like the script might have timed out or something like that. So I'm gonna run it again. And any of the commands that it's already run, it's just gonna skip over, I think. So I could come up with a better script for this, but I just don't have all the time in the world. And I was getting it working with this script, so we're just going to brute force this guy. Okay, so that means it got to the last command because it disconnected and rebooted. So let's let it reboot and see if the devices show up. So now the test is here, checking for the list of Apex devices, and we should see two. Boom, there it is. It sounds like a 80s song. This means that both of the Coral TPUs are detected by our operating system and ready to be put to work. So from here, it's a matter of getting the camera set up, getting Frigate installed, and just tweaking it to work the way we want. But this was the hard part. So when it comes to open source surveillance software, I'm a big fan of Frigate NVR, which makes use of Docker to do all the heavy lifting around taking our video feeds and running the models and making it useful in a mission control center. But we gotta talk about optics, because we're obviously gonna need a video stream. Now, if you only have a webcam, then hit the link in the description below where I provide a tutorial, because there is a super janky backdoor way to get Frigate working with a generic webcam. So I got you. And I was going to go that route in this video, but one of my commenters guilted me against that option.
Suggestion: use an IP camera to lessen the complexity and length of your video and revise your video. Most viewers who want detection will be using an IP camera, and leave the RTSP magic for another video.
Fine. John said I should pick up a Reolink, so that's what I went with, but Hikvision, Amcrest, and others should work just as well. So satisfying. Okay, so this guy has power over Ethernet, which I'm not going to use because it requires some sort of like Ethernet adapter thing that I don't have. So I'll use Ethernet to get it on our network, and then I'm going to use the 12-volt DC power supply to provide this guy with power. So for now, I'm just going to jack it in. I don't know if this thing has Wi-Fi. If it does, then we can set that up and we won't have to rely on this. So that goes in like that. And then this guy, okay, standard 12-volt power supply should work. Put it in like that. So nothing lights up on this, but what I did was I downloaded the app and it immediately was able to connect. Okay, and just to validate that our camera is in fact working, we can take that IP address and we can plop that into a new tab here. And there's a whole admin portal. But if we log in, it's going to show us a stream of our camera. So that is in fact me. It's just pointing away here on my desk. Okay, so the camera is set up and we're able to access it through the IP address. So the next step is we want to get Frigate installed onto our Raspberry Pi. Now Frigate utilizes Docker, so we're going to start there. I'm going to grab this command here, bring it over to Warp and see if we can't get that going. Okay, and then we will grab this guy here, throw that off. Okay, so if we preface it with sudo, we're good to go. So we can just do that for the time being. So ps-a lists any active containers. We don't have any, but these headers here tell us that Docker received the command and all is good. We could alternatively do sudo docker images and we should get a similar thing going on. So Docker's installed. Now let's go install Frigate. Okay, so before we install Frigate, we just want to create a couple workspaces here. So we're going to make a directory called Frigate and a config file called config.yml. Okay, so I'm just making that directory and then we're gonna make our config file. Okay, cool. Okay, and then this is just an example of a config file. Oop. We will come back and edit it, but let's just take this for now. Sudo vim. Okay, I'm gonna paste that in. I am gonna close and save it and we should be good. Okay, so that's our file. Okay, so Frigate uses something called MQTT to send events. And this is just a lightweight server that can relay messages using a publish subscribe model. So let's go ahead and set that up super quick. I'm just gonna grab this, execute that, and then we're just gonna check that it's running. We should be good to go. Okay, as long as you see active running, you are good. Okay, so we do want to edit the MQTT file so that Frigate can use it. So we'll do sudo, and then I'm gonna paste this guy in. And we wanna add 2 entries, these guys right here. And I think we can add them wherever we want. So let's just do that. And then we're gonna restart the server. Okay, and then if we run that again. Okay, so MQTT is set up and ready to go. Okay, so for the initial run of Frigate, we are going to use the docker run command. We are naming the image rather that we want. It's going to download that from this image repo here. The salient part of this command is this part right here. We need to pass in the references to those 2 Apex devices so that Frigate can see and interface with our Coral TPU. Okay, so now we're gonna run this docker command and it's unable to find the image locally, so it's gonna pull it remotely, and that's what it's downloading here, the layers for the image. And that only happens once. Once it's downloaded locally, it'll reference the local image and it'll be faster to stand up and shut down containers. Okay, so again, we can check to see if we have any containers running, and now we do. So there's a couple different ways we can interact with this, but the way I would do it is it sets up a server on port 5000 localhost on the network. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're gonna grab our IP address with hostname I, come back over to a browser on the same network, append the port 5000. Okay, and so you can see it's returning the Frigate web application. Okay, now we're gonna bring everything together and check that Frigate is playing nice with our camera and utilizing both of our TPUs. Hi Mom, hope you're watching. Hi Dad, you too, love you, miss you guys. Okay, so we have our setup working here. The Raspberry Pi is over in my desk. That's fine because everything's connected over the network. And we're gonna be using my TV right there as a monitor, but I gotta get this guy outside in front of the door so that when we have visitors, we can see who it is. And there's really no great way for me to do that, but there is one option, which is I could take this out and that gives us a hole and perhaps we can screw the camera in here. Okay, so let's get the rest of this wired up. So I'm gonna get this Ethernet cable This one is a thin cable, so it should be able to just fit through the, like around or underneath the door. All right, that should do the trick. There it goes. This is some Florida engineering at its finest. Okay, so we have our rig, but will it work in the field? Let's find out. So I'm gonna order Chick-fil-A through Uber Eats and see if our security system can detect and track our visitor. I think we have a Chick-fil-A nearby. Let's see. Ah, it's Sunday. They're not open on Sunday. Ooh. All right, might have to go with Shake Shack. Okay, now my order is placed and it's just a matter of waiting. Okay, I think he's here. Nope, that was my neighbor. Okay, I think it's here for real this time. Let's see. And with that, my DIY security camera delivered in full. But in no fewer than 30 minutes, my building's management office was knocking on my door. I think my neighbor might have tipped them off. Regardless, I got the security guy laughing, so he ultimately forgot about the robot octopus hanging on my door. Anyways, for more questionable content, hit up my next video right here.